Uncertainty drifts across your mind like mist before sunrise. Do yesterday's regrets still steer today's steps? Or will you awaken to a gentler rhythm? Silvery light now slips beneath the door, turning silence into invitation and freshness into promise. In this tender awakening, the Almighty stands as your unwavering refuge, steady and kind, reminding you that every fleeting decision can glitter with eternal purpose when placed in His hands. Luke 16:10. Faithfulness in what feels tiny becomes the training ground for wonders far beyond your sight. Even ordinary choices echo in heaven when offered back to the one who multiplies love. Which hidden worry will you surrender before the city stirs? What quiet hope do you long for Him to nurture today? Now, as your heart grows still, you step into awakening. Surrender, guided footsteps, overflowing love, reflective light, and the ripples that follow. Soft amber washes across the sky, and you rise with it. The gentle rustle of morning breeze brushing against curtains like a quiet summons. Your first breaths feel unhurried, each inhale drawing in sweet promise, each exhale releasing the remains of restless night. Without scrolling through headlines or mental to-do lists, you allow your senses to linger on birdsong threading the cool air, a subtle hymn rehearsed since creation. You walk toward the window. Place your palm against the glass and feel the world's pulse melding with your own. Two steady rhythms meeting in fragile stillness. Within this hush, you sense God leaning near, His presence not loud yet unmistakable, asking no performance, simply availability. You choose to whisper the day's opening word, yes. Such a small syllable, yet it unfurls like a banner over every hour ahead. That whisper carries your choices, what you read, how you speak, whom you notice, when you pause, to His altar of ordinary offerings. You picture each decision as a seed unseen yet potent, easy to overlook yet laden with forests. The Spirit reminds you that nothing is neutral. Each act either mirrors heaven or magnifies self. So you invite holy alignment, asking that your very posture, the angle of your gaze, reflect divine priorities. Lamentations 3:22, Twin 3, morning mercy resets the tally of missteps. Yesterday's failings do not disqualify today's fellowship. Fresh compassion greets you more surely than sunrise, urging you to begin again in grace. Outside, rooftops start catching gold, signaling neighborhoods to awaken. You pray for those still cocooned in sleep, friends who fear diagnosis, neighbors weighed down by unseen debts, strangers whose names you'll never know yet whose destinies intersect with yours through shared sidewalks and traffic lanes. You lift them one by one, letting compassion stretch your perspective beyond self-preservation. In doing so, your heart widens, making room for new empathy. The aroma of coffee drifts from the kitchen, and you realize even brewing a cup can become communion. You measure ground slowly, thanking the one who sends rain for beans, labor for harvest, skill for roasting. Mundane tasks blossom into doxology when performed with awareness. You rehearse a simple liturgy. Turn, notice, thank, before each tiny action, turning minutes into sanctuaries. Psalm 5003, early petitions rise like incense. When you place requests before Him at dawn, expectation grows wings, ready to survey the coming hours for answered prayer. You ask, may every greeting you speak sound like encouragement. May each plan leave space for divine interruption. May your steps today be gentle enough to hear whispers beneath the noise. In this awakening dawn, you are not racing but rooting, anchoring identity in belovedness before productivity can tempt you to perform. The day is still pliable clay, and the potter's hands hover, waiting for consent to shape it. With another deliberate inhale, you concede the wheel. Guide me, Jesus. From first light to final blink, the sun edges higher, painting rooftops rose gold, and you know the journey has already begun. The morning advances, and you stand at the crossroads of countless micro decisions. What to wear, how to greet a roommate, when to glance at messages. Each option seems insignificant, yet together they sculpt the architecture of your character. You breathe slowly, noticing the hush inside, and picture every choice as a polished pebble dropped into a clear pool. Ripples spread long after the stone sinks from sight. A quiet prayer forms. Let even my smallest leaning echo your kindness. You shuffle toward the wardrobe, fingers grazing fabric, and sense the spirit nudging you past self, display towards simple stewardship clothes that free you to move, serve, kneel if needed. You smile at the thought that sacredness can hide in cotton threads and humble colors. In the kitchen, you choose fruit over hastier fare, acknowledging that nourishing the body honors the one who crafted sinew and heartbeat. The click of the kettle becomes liturgy, steam curling upward like a hidden psalm. The doorbell rings with the mail carrier's early delivery. You fight the impulse to keep the exchange transactional. Instead, you meet his eyes, offer genuine warmth, and observe how a brief "Thank you. May your rote be light today" plants courage you might never witness bloom. The kingdom often moves on unnoticed rails, propelled by conversations that history books ignore, yet heaven records with delight. Proverbs 3:5-6 Trust silences the inner debate that demands explanations. Yielding your pathway allows unseen hands to smooth tomorrow's terrain before your souls arrive. You commute or log on, surrounded by glimmering screens inviting endless comparison. When a colleague's accomplishment flashes across the feed, jealousy knocks at the edge of your thoughts. Instead, you pause, whisper blessing, and watch envy lose its footing. This deliberate pivot feels small, but it is warfare disguised as courtesy. You realize holiness sprouts not only in cathedrals, but in scrolls stopped mid-thumb, in compliments freely spoken, in drafts rewritten to remove needless sarcasm. Lunch hour arrives, presenting another orchestra of options. Sit with the familiar circle or venture toward the quiet newcomer. You gather courage, carry your tray to the unclaimed seat, and open gentle questions. The conversation starts slow, yet your attentive listening draws hidden stories like wells uncapped. Later, walking back beneath leafy branches, shimmering with noon light, you marvel that a single seating choice can shift both destinies. Afternoon tasks pile up, and the temptation to hurry threatens to erode compassion. You intentionally schedule a 3-minute window between meetings, inhaling hope, exhaling tension. In that pocket of stillness, you recall today's guiding plea: make my small choices mirror your vast love. Refreshment flows, not from longer vacations, but from these micro Sabbaths carved inside routine. As dusk hints on the horizon, you review the day like a tapestry. Thread by colored thread, you notice frayed moments, an impatient sigh, a missed opportunity to encourage. But instead of shame, you meet conviction that invites adjustment, not condemnation. You hand those threads back for repair, trusting the master weaver to integrate even mistakes into future beauty. Gratitude rises partnered with divine patience. Your surrendered choices became brushstrokes of mercy on the canvas of ordinary hours. At midday, the corridors of your schedule stretch like branching trails through a sun-dappled forest, and you sense how quickly feet can drift when thoughts run unchecked. You slow your pace, choosing to treat every hallway, staircase, and storefront as holy ground. The gentle shepherd who oversaw your first breath now keeps cadence with your stride, forming an inner compass that nudges left, pauses right, and urges ahead in perfect tempo. Each movement becomes conversation, a steady yes to presence. You quiet internal chatter and let scripture hum beneath awareness, a subterranean river directing stones downstream. Saw Isaiah 30:21. When guidance sounds like breath rather than thunder, you learn trust that does not require spectacle. The whisper proves he stands close enough to counsel. You picture his voice as wind through tall grass, soft yet shaping, informing how you frame emails, approach deadlines, and decide where attention lands. When an urgent task lands on your desk, you resist autopilot and ask, "Is this mine to carry?" In the hush that follows, clarity rises. Sometimes you delegate, other times you embrace the duty. But fear of disappointing people no longer holds the reins. Traffic later thickens, brake lights glaring like crimson beacons. Instead of simmering frustration, you allow delay to tutor patience. What wisdom might hide within this stand still? You scan headlines drifting across bus panels, whisper prayer for souls behind the advertisements, and convert idle minutes into intercession. Even detours become divine breadcrumbs, redirecting focus from relentless efficiency toward deeper empathy. Mid-afternoon brings a colleague whose smile masks exhaustion. Her sentences tremble between forced jokes. You could nod politely and retreat to spreadsheets, yet something inside insists, stay. So you linger, ask fuller questions, and offer to lighten her load. This modest reroute lifts not only her burden, but also reveals the Father's pulse beating through your willingness to be inconvenienced. Warm assurance spreads beneath your ribs, confirming you walk the line prepared for you. Sunbeams angle lower, drawing gold across the office floor, and you notice how direction often arrives through bodily prompts, a tightening when compromise beckons, a buoyancy when alignment clicks. You treat conscience like a dashboard lamp, never condemning, always cautionary, signaling when to refuel on grace or recalibrate your heading. Gratitude grows as you recall morning's plea, every choice surrendered, every step guided. Direction, you realize, is not a single neon arrow, but a constellation of subtle points that, when traced by faith, form a radiant path. As the clock edges toward evening, you walk the final stretch of daylight with heightened attentiveness. Each footprint pressed into pavement feels deliberate, as though you are planting seeds of mercy for travelers who will tread the same road tomorrow. Streetlights flicker on, mirroring constellations above, and you whisper again, soft, steady, resolved, "Lead me, and I will follow." Assurance settles that the quiet avenues beneath and the star-lit vault overhead already sing the same refrain. Every surrendered step draws creation closer to its maker. Evening approaches with a warm breeze curling through open windows, and you sense the day tilting from production to presence. You set a pot simmering, the aroma of herbs rising like quiet worship, and realize how nourishment embodies affection, each chopped vegetable a silent testimony that bodies matter to God. Love, you discover, is not an emotion to chase, but a current already coursing through your veins, sourced from one who never withholds. As you wipe counters, you pray that every surface of your life become a table where others taste His goodness. A knock at the door reveals a neighbor holding an overwatered plant, whose leaves droop in surrender. Instead of offering hurried advice, you invite her inside, brew gentle tea, and listen beneath her chatter for the H she is too polite to name. Words of encouragement flow before you can script them, evidence that the Spirit poured empathy faster than anxiety could dam the stream. She leaves lighter, clutching both plant and renewed hope, and you marvel at how quickly compassion multiplies when released. Later you scroll through messages and notice an old friend's text sitting unanswered. Fatigue whispers, "Respond tomorrow." Yet love nudges you now. You type a note brimmed with gratitude for shared history, add a prayer for her newborn's health, and hit send. A reply arrives in minutes. Your timing, she says, felt miraculous. You smile, reminded that obedience often wears digital skin and travels at the speed of light. The John 17:3-8, from the innermost places a river surges, not conjured by effort, but activated by belief. Once you drink deeply, overflow becomes inevitable, irrigating deserts you never thought to visit. Night settles, sprinkling the sky with unworried stars, and you step onto the balcony. Cars hum below like distant waves, yet an interior stillness swells larger than city noise. You picture love as moonlit tides, drawn by gravity stronger than willpower. Rising, receding, returning unceasingly. You hold out your hands, palms up, and ask to remain a channel, not a reservoir. Water kept too long stagnates, but river water stays sweet by moving. Memories surface of moments you withheld kindness, when sarcasm felt safer, when you stored compliments but never offered them. Grace invites honesty without shame. You acknowledge the dams, then watch them crumble under forgiveness. Freedom rushes through breaches, ready to irrigate tomorrow's interactions. The barista fumbling change, the colleague whose humor masks insecurity, the child who interrupts with endless questions. You resolve that none shall leave your presence without tasting gentleness. Back inside, dishes gleam in lamplight, and you consider the day's ledger, ounces of kindness poured, drops withheld, reservoirs tapped. Gratitude wells that the source remains limitless. You cannot bankrupt heaven with generosity. You whisper, "Keep me near the spring," and feel fresh currents surge. Love that overflows spares you from burnout, because giving becomes receiving in unbroken loop. With heart steady and eyes soft, you extinguish lights, confident that even in sleep the river continues beneath consciousness, ready to rise at dawn. Street lamps cast soft halos along the road as you walk the short distance from desk to bedside, and you notice how each pool of brightness turns pavement into quiet mirrors. You pause beneath one glow, letting its radiance settle on your shoulders, and realize your life can shine the same way, receiving brilliance from a greater source, then sending it outward without distortion. Earlier hours spent in surrendered choices now gleam back, illuminating corners you once hurried past. You recall a smile you offered in the elevator, the patient tone you kept when a delivery arrived late, the encouraging note tucked into a lunchbox. These moments flicker like tiny lanterns, guiding unseen travelers who may never learn your name, yet still feel safer because of your presence. As you reach home, windows across the courtyard sparkle with evening rituals. Families laughing over dishes. Solitary readers curled beneath lampshades, a weary nurse entering after double shift. You recognize that each life echoes against the others, forming a constellation of stories. Drawing curtains, you decide to keep one candle lit on the sill, a silent pledge. Your dwelling will remain a beacon, humble yet intentional. The flame's steady sway reminds you that light requires fuel. Therefore, you commit to refill through prayer, rest, and honest reflection rather than burn fiercely, then fade. You slip a journal from the shelf and recount 3 instances when divine love overflowed through you today. Writing slows perception, turning memory into polished glass through which grace refracts. Gratitude rises as you identify subtle victories. Choosing silence instead of gossip, answering an email with patience instead of haste, offering your seat on a crowded bus. None made headlines, yet all radiated wonder because they reflected a kingdom where the least gesture carries eternal heft. You underline each entry, then sketch a small ray beside it, symbolic of impact that travels farther than sight. Thoughts drift to tomorrow's tasks, and you sense an old fear that effort will never be enough. You counter by picturing a lighthouse framed against relentless waves, its beam unmoved by storm because it simply does what it is designed to do: shine. You are not tasked with generating brilliance, only with staying unobstructed. Comparison dims lamps, envy clouds glass, transparency humility, and continual turning toward the source polish the lens until even flaws refract resourceful color. A notification pings on your phone. A coworker thanks you for earlier encouragement, sharing how that brief kindness lifted a hidden weight. You smile, reminded that reflection operates in both directions. What you cast returns multiplied, further brightening interior corridors. You silence remaining alerts, choosing digital simplicity so luminance won't scatter into distraction. In the settling hush, you pray that every word you speak tomorrow exit your mouth like sun rays through clear crystal. Warm, illuminating, precise. Placing the journal back, you dim overhead lights until only the candle remains. Its glow flickers across your face, gentle and unwavering. And you sense the final lesson of this quiet hour. Illumination is most convincing when felt up close. As night deepens, you blow out the flame, yet still see its afterglow trace bright shapes on inner vision. You carry that radiance into rest, trusting that while eyes close, your life continues to mirror unseen glory, ready to greet dawn with fresh reflection. Moonlight drifts across still water, and you picture a single pebble breaking the surface. Circles expand, overlap, then travel beyond sight. Today's seemingly minor decisions have already begun that journey, a gentle greeting to the janitor, a thoughtful pause before replying, a whispered prayer for a stranger. Though silence cloaks the pond again, movement endures beneath, carrying mercy farther than your imagination can chart. You realize impact is seldom measured in applause. It hides in transformed atmospheres, softened hearts, redirected futures. Hours ago, You affirmed a co-worker's hidden talent, unbeknown to you. She later championed an intern's fresh idea, which sparked a solution the whole team will celebrate next quarter. Your original kindness will never appear in the meeting minutes, yet it stands at the headwater of progress. Love behaves like wind-blown seeds. Each settles where it will, sprouting hope in soil you will never walk. When discouragement whispers that your efforts are too small, you remember this unseen network of influence and regain courage. Beyond the office, a child absorbs your calm patience while waiting in line. Tomorrow he will mirror that composure to a classmate everyone else ignores, proving that gentleness can leap generations in a single gesture. The holy chain continues. One considerate driver eases gridlock. One humble apology heals decades of resentment. One handwritten note prevents a soul from giving up. You stand in awe of how heaven leverages the ordinary to orchestrate symphonies of restoration. Yet you also accept that you may never witness the farthest shores your waves reach. And that is freedom. True significance lies not in tracking results, but in sustained fidelity to the source. You rest in the assurance that omniscient eyes trace every echo, weaving each act into a tapestry of redemption stitched across centuries. No effort steeped in love is wasted, nothing surrendered remains small for long. As you prepare for sleep, heartbeat steady, you resolve to rise tomorrow with renewed wonder. You will drop fresh pebbles, simple choices anointed by surrendered intent, trusting that rivers of grace will once again surge outward. The world may remain unaware of their origin, but heaven knows, and that knowing is enough. You slip beneath blankets, night air cool on your brow, and drift into dreams where countless circles widen across glassy waters, carrying his big love from your small yes. Breathe slowly and recall dawn's promise, midday's guidance, evening's overflow. Notice how every surrendered choice, brewing coffee with gratitude, pausing for a hurting friend, holding back a harsh word, now shimmers like threads in a single golden braid. Let confidence rise that the God who multiplies loaves multiplies your minutes, spreading compassion beyond measure. Picture tomorrow's canvas blank and bright, ready for new strokes of deliberate kindness. Whisper, may my hidden yes echo through halls I'll never walk, carrying your vast love farther than sight. Rest in that hope, linger in gentle expectancy, and smile into the quiet.